Hey folks, how's it going? This is Mr. Moray coming to you with a Course 1 Honors Due Now for March 26, 2020. This Due Now relates to the laws of roots. Just to recap on the right, again, we spent our last week factoring. This week we started talking about solving, and we solved with factoring, but now we're going to move into one more way to solve. And before we do that, we really have to become masters of simplifying roots, okay? It's something that we're going to talk about this year and then also address next year with other kind of roots as well. So what I want you to do is I want you to simplify these three roots as much as you can. If you have no idea where to start, I recommend going back to the previous lesson when we did the laws of roots discovery before proceeding. All right, so what we need to do is pause the video, try to simplify these three roots, and then when you're ready, unpause, and I'll show you how to simplify them. All right, so we have three roots here, the squared, and so basically, here's what we know. This is what it's going to be based on. We know that we're going to be using our perfect squares. Okay, 4 squared is 16. 5 squared is 25, 6 squared is 36, 7 squared is 49, 8 squared is 64, 9 squared is 81, and 10 squared is 100. This should be all we need to do this one. So ideally, what we're going to do is we're going to look on the right, to the right of the equal sign. The perfect squares are right here, essentially. All right, let me just highlight those. Okay, so we want to see which one of these numbers, and we're going to kind of leave out 1 because 1 doesn't make anything look any different. Which of these remaining numbers is a factor or goes evenly into 72? You might notice that there's actually a few answers to this one. 4 goes into 72. Let's see, 9... No, 63, 72. Yep, 9 does go into 72. And any other ones that go into 72. 36 goes into 72. So ideally, you would like to find the biggest possible number that goes evenly into 72. And so over here, we're going to choose 36. 36 and 2. Okay, so basically that means that the square root of 72 equals the square root of 36 times the square root of 2, which is 6 square root of 2. Okay? Now, if you did not choose that number, for example, let's say you said, oh, 4, perfect. So what I'm going to do is the square root of 4, and then you have to figure out, well, 4 times what is equal to 72? And I believe it is 4 times 18. Okay? And if you did it this way, you'd get 2 root 18. But you can't circle this because I said simplify, so you're not done. So if this is you then have to break down the square root of 18. And the square root of 18, because it's 9 times 2, is 3 root 2. And then you can see that the 2 and the 3 come together, and we get 6 root 2. So you don't have to choose the biggest number, but if you don't, it's going to be an additional step to solve the problem. Okay, so you want to choose the biggest one. 300, well, I can see immediately that 300, well, that is equal to the square root of 100 times the square root of 3. So that's 10 root 3. Again, if you chose, for example, you could have done 25. 25, if you did 25 and 12, then you'd get the square root of 25 times the square root of 12, which is 5 root 12. But then the 12, you're not done there. So it would be 5, and then 12 is 2 root 3, right? And the 5 and 2 come together and get 10. So in the end, you get 10 root 3. So again, multiple ways to do it, but you have to simplify completely. You know you're done because the number in here cannot be broken down any further. You can't break 2 down, and you can't break 3 down because none of these special numbers go in there. Lastly, we have a situation where we have an x squared. So I've got to deal with a couple things. I first have to simplify the number, and then I also have to simplify the x squared. So what I get here is I get, well, I believe that 4 goes into it, and 4 goes into the 96. Let's see. 92 rather. Well, it goes into 9 twice. Remainder of 12. Remainder of 1 essentially. So it would be 23. All right. And so then though, you also have to do it. You also have to put the square root of x squared there, right? Because square root of 4 times the square root of 23 times the square root of x squared is equal to 92x squared. So don't forget about that. Now, we'll talk a little bit more about simplifying with variables probably next year. But what we get here is this becomes a 2. Now, this will actually simplify to x. So it is the right thing that you do want to take the x because that's out of the root and put that next. And then the 23 comes last. Now, can we simplify 23? No, we cannot, because 23 is a prime number and it is not a perfect square. So therefore, you cannot simplify it any further. And this is our final answer, 2x root 23. Okay? So again, our answers are 6 root 2, 10 root 3, 2x root 23. All right, I hope that this was a good activity for you. Hopefully you got everything right. Today we're going to go ahead and most likely continue on with the laws of roots and working with that. Please check the lesson details for more info. All right, and so just keep at it. Keep asking the good questions. I'm looking forward to seeing everyone at the Hangout on Friday. And remember, you can do it. All right, thanks for watching. Don't forget to love math, and have a wonderful day.